Belton, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lorraine?
Belton, can you hear me?
I don't see the board. Yes, I can.
Belton, you have an echo.
I fixed that. I'm sorry. My YouTube audio was on.
Did you kick it or?
Can you see?
I
What do you need us to do?
had something in here and then I closed it and cracked the screen. So it doesn't, it's not touch screen anymore. Yeah. So, but I don't want to buy a new one. 4 minutes.
I know, I loaned mine to my granddaughter and she lost
Is that
one of
your
the
button?
keys
Oh, really?
and it was off one, I don't wanna use it.
Belton.
Much better, Lorraine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pettis on the agenda,
Yes,
recommendation?
I recommend that we'll approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Emily Hunt Daly, seconded by Richard Jones. Roll call, oh, yes, please.
Emily Hunt Daily.
Yes.
Richard Jones.
Aye.
Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Hayes, would you, welcome you, and would you come here, come and sit with us? This is informal. We're just going to have a conversation with each other. We're going to have you share your, share your experiences, and we will ask you, so we'll go around the table and we'll ask some questions. If there are any other, any comments we wish to make, we can make them. And this is a public forum, and I believe the YouTube is on. Am I correct? So I never really knew that, but there's some places there's a camera.
The YouTube, not aging yourself at all there. We're on a Zoom meeting that ends up on YouTube, yes.
Okay,
But this is Zoom.
but is it Zoom or is it what?
It's through Zoom, but it's showing live on YouTube.
YouTube, yes.
That tells you. I don't, I just rely on you guys to do that. That's basically what we're going to do, Mr. Hayes. What we're going to do is I'm gonna just do an overview of what the process is and the ultimate goal. And then I'm going to turn it over to you. And then we'll have you, introduce yourself. I know some of these people very well, but for the record, for the public, it's worthwhile to have you, convey, who you are to the public. And in this instance, we are kind of taking the place, the proxy of the public, because we are the ones who are going to do the voting. Yeah, and in the board packet, we had stated that there was a vacancy in the District 2 of this district. We have five districts within the Grants Boulder County Schools. And each one of those us represent one of them. And the one that was vacant was 2. And we asked interested residents of District 2 to apply. And that there was a period of 45 days to do this. And so we outlined a process, timelines, and then made it public to the community. And the individual had to be representing the various attendance areas with schools such as Grants High School, Mesa View, and San Rafael. And the statutory documents and policy documents were listed that stated how we're supposed to do this. And basically, the board is the one who's authorized, and only the board is authorized to obtain a nominee and then vote on that person in majority vote in the subsequent board meeting. We ask that the individuals obtain the application materials and complete them and submit them back to Ms. Sandoval in the period that we had set forth. We ask that you submit a letter of interest that expressed your interest in the public education issues, particularly with governing the schools, provide us some relevant prior experiences, include a statement that basically says, that you have an understanding of the importance and the value and the benefit of having a public school board to serve the county and all of its students and families here that we have. So once we've completed this process tonight, we will then await the board meeting where we will schedule the consideration of your nomination and take a vote. And that's going to be on, unless board members, it's still going to be on September 6th. Any comments? Okay,
Right. Just about that meeting.
yes.
Can we do it earlier in the day? I have an event that night in Window Rock, Arizona. Can we do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or does that mess you guys up terrible, or?
You said what day is that?
Or can I zoom in for that one?
But
It's a regular board meeting.
it's a,
5:30.
If
So can I
board
zoom in?
president,
Can we put that at the first of the agenda and let me zoom in? It's important if I be at that meeting. I didn't realize we have a deal with the Navajo tribe for the Navajo tribe that night.
yeah.
we're putting bull riding on for the fair. On the PBR event.
I mean, go there. Be two of us on the Zoom.
Yeah, well, I will be at work.
Okay, so let's
That's
work.
right, but let's move on.
Let's
Yeah,
work
we'll
on
work
a game plan for that. This is what happens. Sometimes we have to,
Mr. President, I see this all the time.
yes,
I
you
was
know
just
what I mean,
involved with one, now we're good.
I'm sure. So with that, with all that said, once again, this is gonna be informal. This is just a conversation between us and getting a sense to know you on a more important basis as a potential board member. Mr. Hayes, tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of your experience here in the Grand Isabella County School District.
Mr. President, board members, Mr. Pettis, and our vast audience. Came here with parents in the mid-70s with probably thousands of other folks that want to be in the uranium industry. I graduated from Grants High School, graduated from the college here as well.
Really?
I stayed and my parents moved on to other things and they're scattered all over. My mom now is in Michigan, which she enjoys so much. Years of service, I guess, is the best way that you guys may know me. I'm in my 41st year of being a firefighter for this community. I've been on the city council in 1994, so I know somewhat about governance and the importance of taking care of the business of the community. Married for 40, let me get this right, 44 years. I've been involved with the schools in many other aspects besides just going in and conducting a fire drill every now and then. You guys know me as probably the dictionary guy. And in 2003, I came upon this idea without knowing any of you or what we're going to be doing, and took that upon myself to bring dictionaries to the kids in school. The third graders were our target group. And my goal at that time was 10,000 dictionaries throughout the time frame. Last year, we eclipsed 10,029. So I met that goal. I also still am involved with Mesa View, even though my wife has since on retired, with the funding factory. I run around and collect cartridges for the schools and send them off to some company in California that sends the school a check for $25 or $50 or $100. And it's around $4,000 that I've been able to provide. So I am ultimately involved in some of the programs for our students. But I like to bring that to the school board and be a listener for you, for the community, for the superintendent, and try and give my perspective and my 40 some odd years of knowledge of this community to help out. Sad that I'm only the only surviving nominee. I thought there would be a dozen people that might want this position. It's a very important position, even though people don't think so. You guys had your hands full over the past couple of years, and I congratulate you on that, because I don't know if I could have been there with you, because we had our own challenges as well in emergency services, and I know just what you had to go through. So I'm here to answer as many questions as you like. Any more informal discussions about what I know and what I can bring? I bring education, I bring safety, security, and I bring emergency services that we've done for some time to this board and help you understand the many nuances of things that we may challenge in the future, we may want to worry about. I'm going to be a listener, like I said, because this is something new. But I'd like to give it my 100% if I am the nominee that you would like to see.
That's good. Thanks. That in a nutshell tells us, reinforces what it is that we know about you over these last several years. I'm going to invite any of the board members to make any comments or questions that they may have. Mr. Ortiz, do you have any initial comments right now? Questions?
Yes. Mr. Hayes, I've known you for years, and I've known you as a chief for our community, and done a very good job. And one of my concerns is, what do you see in our district that concerns you that wanted to make you get this position?
Well, some of the concerns I see is some of the disconnect between this board and parents. I would wish more parents would come and see what you have to deal with every meeting. And on the periphery of when you get inundated with things, I would wish that we would be able to have some more collaboration with our community. Because we need to listen to them, but they also need to listen to you. Because with the help of the superintendent, these are how all the venues of how to solve problems are taken care of. And, you know, watching the interaction at Mesa View with my wife, with the principal and the teachers, it is nothing like it was 30 some odd years ago. I would hope that we would be able to bridge that gap between our community and this board and the school system as a whole.
I got one more question.
Sure.
You know, we have some concerns with our SROs with the city of Grants. I'm sure you're aware of that. And I know that you know everybody out there on how to get funds.
I hope so. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get some now, yes.
So, you know, I know that I'm not gonna get into the meat of the whole thing on the SROs, but I just wanted to see if you would be willing to help us with some of those concerns when they come up.
Oh,
Because
exactly.
they're gonna be there.
I will do my best. I will give you my thoughts of what we know out in the field and what is here, and I will listen and try and learn and help bridge that gap as well. It sounds like that of whatever problem that may be forming, or how to solve that problem. If it's monetary, or if it's personnel, I'll do my best.
Emily, what are your thoughts? What are your questions?
And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the fact that there's an increased time commitment with attending board meetings, attending conferences, district meetings, regional meetings. And with that, we accumulate credit hours or your time frame. Are you free to go? Are you willing to attend as many conferences as you can? Because we learn all kind of neat information.
Oh,
Keep up
I'm
to date
very
with
familiar,
policies.
yes. And I'm willing to go to learn, as I said, to know what the nuts and bolts is of conducting school business. And I'm willing to try and make as many meetings as I can, hopefully not during the day.
What particular, I know you talk about the discordant relationship between the board, parents, and community. What else do you see yourself wanting to champion with the schools, with the facilities, with the sport? I mean, it just, everything encompasses GCCS. So is there something that's maybe something that you would like to see happen?
Something that I can bring to the board, perhaps. I'd like to see a better security aspect with regards to how we protect our children. I know firsthand how to take care of some of those problems, and I can bring that to this board and give some suggestions with regards that don't cost a lot of money, but it's due diligence that we have to perform on this board to make sure that all our kids, our teachers, our faculty, all our staff are safe, because we've seen some horrific things happen in the past few years. And that I can bring, and that's one of the things I'd like to help out with.
I think that's it, Mr.
Richard?
Well, first of all, thanks for being the applicant. One thing at this meeting is important, but does not have to take very long when you have one.
Yes.
And I appreciate your candor, and I'm gonna tell you something, this job is not an easy job. There's only a few things that a board member can do. We can evaluate the superintendent, we can approve the budget, and we can make policy. Can't talk about personnel.
Nope.
You can't, I mean, and sure not talking for you, but I've heard this. You talk about the disconnect between the community and the board, because the community calls the board and says, I want you to fire that basketball coach.
Mhm.
No. You gotta be able to sit up here and be 100% for something, 100% against something, and be able to say why you are. When you have another board member or several other board members that can look you in the eye and tell you why they're against you.
I know.
This is not an easy task by any means. It's a little bit like being elected to catch javelins at the track meet.
There you go.
So I commend you for trying, and please come on and help us make policy to better the schools. And help us make policies to show us how we can make them safer. I believe we have a good school district, and I think we're going the right direction in a lot of different ways. Security is one of them. I took my wife soda today and had to sign in and sign out. First time I've had to do that in a long time,
Nothing wrong with that.
or ever, but I did. Was happy to, and I just want you to, if you're gonna be there for the right reason.
Well, Mr. Jones, when I was elected to the city council, same policies apply. Evaluate the city manager, take care of the budget, and perform policy. Same exact thing. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had to tell some administrators that I have been involved with, you can't do that. You have to go to the boss. You gotta go to the superintendent. You gotta go to the city manager. I know exactly what you're saying.
Oh, and I wasn't insinuating you didn't.
No,
I just
no,
was
I-
for sure, you know, I think I thought that I was gonna do a lot of things when I first got elected as a board member. And then I realized pretty quick that, and then another thing that drives me insane, everything moves at a glacial pace.
Oh, yeah.
It just amazes me on how slow things move.
No, I'm right there with you.
And when you get on the board, I'll just ask for your best. And if we disagree, we can just disagree, then we're still on the board. And what our main objective is to be there for our students and for the whole district. I promise a bunch of them don't agree with me a lot, but we have a good relationship throughout.
And that's the whole goal of it. When I was on the city council, of course, the first thing from Mayor Snodgrass was we need to agree to disagree. And that's in a nutshell. Don't take any of it personal. It's all about getting the job done for the betterment of the school system. And that's it at 100%. I plan to give that to you. And if I can't, just ask me to write a letter and I'll be out the door like anybody else. But yes, I am willing to try and give this 100% and to be a good listener. And I'm hoping I can be that.
That's all I got, Mr. President.
Thanks, Richard. Mr. Jones.
That's all I have.
Thank
That's what
you.
I should say.
Well, you have more too, but bottom line is when a student comes to our school, we want to see them graduate. We want to see them graduate successfully. I don't mean like a D average. I mean like they got B's and A's, you know. So it's really important that we build our community, our district, our county, so that these kids will consider this district, our high schools, to be the experience they had was rewarding, and we've got to be committed to that. That means we have to have a set of goals and a set of strategies and ways in which we hold ourselves accountable to make sure that it happens. And we hold all of our district administration accountable to do all the things that are necessary to do that. But all too often, we work glacially, as he said. Things don't happen very fast. We have so many different spontaneous surprises that occur. The last 2.5 years has been really extremely difficult for our community, for our parents and for our children and our teachers and our administrators to work through the COVID. And you know that.
I do, sir.
And it hurt. And it created a lot of frustration, anger, illnesses, deaths. So we know those things. And we expect that we will achieve goals. And that's one of the things where it's important for us. What do you consider to be goals that you would want to see this district try to fulfill in the years to come?
And you mentioned this, you want them to graduate, but to graduate and succeed and a higher graduation rate overall. I'm not sure what the collaboration is between us and NMSU. I've heard that we have a crossover program for credits. Is that true still?
We do.
And I'd like to see that enhanced because I wish we had it when we were in school. Because, we'd be able to do two things and one thing and get two things done. Education is key. And we need to find out the niches that our kids have. And I've learned that not every kid is the same. And Mesa View is specifically where I visited all the time with my wife when she worked there. Not every child is the same, and that's gonna be a hard road to hoe because generally education has been focused on one direction only. Can't do that anymore. We might need to find out glacially, if it is, how to move us forward so that we can tailor some of the programs enough to encompass large blocks of children and make them all successful in the ways they want to go. Some will not want to go to college. Some will want to go to college, period, and will do almost anything to do that. Those are the programs we might need to focus on, is how to block those programs specifically for different styles of children. Simultaneous learners and sequential learners. We need to find out which ones are which.
Ron, any other follow-ups?
No, I don't.
Okay. There are gonna be times that you're gonna get phone calls. And there'll be a lot of times you may be getting phone calls. And they're gonna ask you to do something. And that's not what we do. And Mr. Jones outlined what were our scope and limits of our responsibilities. Nevertheless, that doesn't stop them, our community from talking to us. And they want us to do something. How are you gonna approach that if you keep getting phone calls like that?
Like I said, to be a good listener is going to be optimum, but the next question after you listen to that parent or whatever concern that they have you talked to the superintendent? Have you talked to the principal of the school? Have you talked to the teacher? Some of them I know because they've either gone through those steps and not got the right answer, maybe they get the right answer from a school board member. Well, we're gonna go backwards and say, what have you done to bridge that gap? Have you bypassed the teacher and went to the principal? Have you bypassed the principal, went to the superintendent? Like I said, I've been in this realm just as long as some of you have, and there is a pattern of things that they need to go.
So my biggest advice right there is learn the rules, and as long as you follow the rules, you'll never get in a jam,
Agreed.
because it's pretty easy to break them.
Oh, yeah, because they may hear something different of what you say, and you have to be very specific.
Just learn the
in your
rules
verbiage.
on where to send. That's all. And like the National School Board Convention is absolutely worth going to. Don't you guys,
Yeah,
they'll teach you, and they'll give you the rules. Because I remember when I first started, you bet, I'll talk to, whoa, no, I can't. But as long as you follow the rules, you'll never have to worry about getting in a jam.
Yes.
follow up, Emily?
And if you do it once, they'll expect you to do it all the time.
Oh, it has to be consistent, yes. You start doing things the correct way and be consistently throughout the time that you're on the board, exactly.
And you'll learn, and that's why I think it's really important that you attend the trainings, because you'll learn the do's and don'ts and what are ways to answer to keep, people not necessarily all happy, but if you're consistent with that, tell them this is a process that you have to follow, they'll begin to realize that, well, there's no going around it and starting at the board first and then working your way down. It doesn't
Correct.
work like that. And this is something that I think plagues every school board, every organization is, in Navajo, it's called Janeh, and that's gossip. And so it just, sometimes when you let it, it runs rampant. And so it's very important to stay above that and just say, I don't want to hear it, but have you gone through the process? Have you talked to the teacher? Have you talked to the principal? And just, it can really wear an organization down if we don't nip these things in the bud and just, and let me tell you, I've seen organizations just get bombarded with stuff like that. And it's sad that it doesn't have a negative impact, not just on the organization itself, but for the people within the community, because they hear all these things. So I guess maybe that's just an awareness I try to stop, I don't want to hear it. I'm pretty sure it's important to you, but at this point in time, that it's not a major concern. So I think that's what you have to be really careful for. And it happens in all communities, whether it's vindictive or whether it's just looking for information or trying to get information. But that's something you might, want to hit off at the pass, so as they call it, hit it off at the pass and just not get involved in it.
And I've run into that all the time with emergency services, and people want to know all kinds of things. I'm like, sorry. You cannot, there's a process. Did you go to the city manager? Did you go to HR? Did you go to whom you need to talk to?
Yeah, my biggest trouble is when I agree with them totally.
It's
It's easy when I
CIR.
disagree with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm serious.
Very true.
That's a challenge,
Yes,
and so, but our district is large.
very much so.
And so we have to recognize that, being, that large, we have to have a balance with respect to what perspectives we're hearing. Sometimes we only hear certain ones. Like I will hear only from certain ones who are comfortable with talking to me.
Yeah.
And they may feel very critical about what it is that we do. Because it's hard for them to understand the complexity of what it is that we do in education. And not realize that sometimes we're not in control of those things. It could be the federal government is in control of things, or the state rules on education, or so we have a place, and it's an important place. And we need to hear what they're saying and yet help them understand how they can be more effective in addressing the needs of their specific child. And like you said, and like you know, is that the parent needs to talk to the teacher first and foremost. There's no way that it would be work if they go to him or go to us, because we're gonna turn it around and say, to be a responsible parent, the best place is with that teacher. And you can resolve things right away. And have high expectations for your children, and also for the teacher.
Oh, exactly. It needs to be, the road needs to go both ways. Yes, it does.
Because sometimes our kids can tell a story and it may not be the correct story.
Spin the yarn, yes, exactly.
My teacher didn't blanket like such and such, and it may not be quite true. So you just said, well, let's go talk to the teacher. See what happens, We do provide training. We can arrange for training. We can have in-services here. We don't have to always go to the workshops. We can get legal advice, and that's one of the things that we rely on too. There are resources that are available to you, and we will share those with you so that you can see what are the most important kinds of technical information that will help you understand what the scope of the responsibilities will be. And we have regular meetings twice a month, first and third Tuesdays at 5:30, and we set that annually. And if we sometimes we'll have special sessions like this, or work sessions where we're just gonna talk about stuff and learn about something without having to vote on it.
Discussion items, yeah.
Discussion items, and that's what we'll be doing in the future. So the next board meeting is going to be on September 6th, and that's when we will be addressing this along with other issues at that time. Are there any other comments, any other thoughts?
Just one thing, and I know this comes up, is just keep an air of professionalism. I've seen some of the meetings where they're shouting, not this one, but they're shouting and cursing at each other. If we just keep that air of professionalism. And then, and the second thing is to understand that we're in a region where there are multicultural groups, so we have to be cognizant of those groups and understand that one student is not like the other student. They learn, as a teacher, I know they learn, every student learns very differently. And so we just have to be cognizant of that, and so that we understand that, another group might have their concerns with the way things are being handled. But if we maintain that air of professionalism and say that we just treat every student the same, and that they're entitled to what everybody says, a free and public education. And it's difficult to maintain that air of loyalty. I've tasked with that all the time where I work, say, don't go to Laguna Acima, don't go to Grants High School, go somewhere else, and I have to bite my tongue because, you maintain that air of professional. It doesn't do any good for me to get into an argument with the parents. Say, now, don't send them up to Santa Fe Indian School, send them to Laguna Acima. So it's very tasking, and it can be very detrimental to one's health if you do argue against your community. But you just maintain that air of professionalism, and you'll do quite well.
I think I've been able to do that over the past 40 some odd years.
Any final follow-ups?
Can I make a comment?
Mr. Pettis?
Yeah, I don't have any vote on this, or I don't have any influence on the process. But I'd just like to say that if this goes away, I think it probably will. I look forward to working with you. And that if you are a board member, that as I talk to the rest of the board members, is to listen, like you said. I'm glad to hear that, listen to all sides. Because people don't chase you down at Walmart or chase you down in the community to tell you all the great things that are happening. They will chase you down to make sure that you hear a complaint. But I just ask that, we hear all sides. We have a great team. I think we have everybody out in the audience, I think, has been racing with the clock from early in the morning till late in the evening. And we're proud of the work we've been doing. We still have a whole lot of work to do. We're by no means where we want to be, but we're heading there. So anyway,
It's a
thank you.
dynamic, a dynamic profession for everybody.
Finals? Okay. Good. Mr. Hayes,
One thing to say if I could.
you have the floor.
And I'm still an emergency professional. And there may be a time where during a meeting, what have you, I may have to be excused because we've had some horrific things happen over the past few years. And it's all hands on deck. And being the chief administrator for emergency services, I'm the guy that'll need to be out in the field.
You're good.
So I would just, I'll just beg your forgiveness even now, if that happens in the event.
Thank you. Board members, we've listened to Mr. Robert Hayes, a longstanding and outstanding citizen of our district and of the city here, and we will be taking action on this on September 6th. In the meantime, if there are any questions you have between now and then, by all means, call me, or you can call Mr. Pettis, all right?
I have both your numbers.
And I'll make sure I contact you, in a few days upcoming, and just to think of, just to make myself available to you. Okay,
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Mr. President, I do have a question for Mr. Pettis. So this is absolutely the end. I mean, it's over. She's done her background check and all that stuff.
Yes,
The vetting is all done. That part of the process is done. Next stage is the next board meeting and the vote. And
they sent me a statement saying that he was eligible and met all the legal requirements. And that was,
And I did check with my city manager, and there's no conflict of interest between me doing this, being in charge of emergency services. So I did that first before I even started the process.
So why do we have to wait till September 6th?
because this is not an action item.
No, okay.
But
Darn.
we could have a meeting, special meeting with that as an action item.
Good. Do you want to pose that?
Well, let me look at my calendar.
Because like you said, conflict of scheduling. We have to deal with that, and so we're always having to backtrack
I
to
was
see what
hoping that
happens.
this meeting would have been yesterday, it would have been great.
Yeah.
Because the meeting tonight is probably still going on at city council.
We can get with Lorraine and see if there's any interest in doing, I cannot confirm a date right now
Okay,
for myself.
uh,
But I would be, I don't know whether you would, but I would be, seeing if anybody has any.
next Tuesday or Wednesday would be great if that could happen. We could do a special meeting. It wouldn't take long. It wouldn't, you just gotta know so we can advertise it is all. But that,
Let's have,
Yeah.
administration, we'll pose that question to you, board members, and see if there's an interest in having a special session to do this.
Just to throw it out there, it could be a one action item board meeting with the swearing in and that's it.
All right, so we'll let administration take care of that.
What I asked,
Firm
why
up.
do we have to wait?
Yes. All right, board members, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Richard Jones to adjourn, seconded by Emily, Vice President Emily Daly, seconded. Roll call.
Elena Daly? Yes. Richard Jones?
Aye.
Ron Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Dara Shambo?
Yes. We are adjourned at 7:08. All right. Thank you very much.
It's over.